Ah, what a day. I am so excited to be here. I have been vibrating for this day for a very long time. So, without any more wait time, I am so excited to be introducing you to people that I now call my friends, Cherish and Matthew. And I'm going to let Cherish introduce Cherish and Matthew, but very excited to have everyone here today. Cherish, who are you, and who have you brought with you?
Okay, well, my name's Cherish. I am just as excited to be here with everyone on behalf of Epic. This is something that we have really looked forward to. So, my role with Epic is pretty awesome. I get to work with schools all over the world, including the ones that we have friends at today, introducing them to just the wonders of Epic. I get to share my passion for literacy, all things books, with students all over the world. So that's really an amazing part of my job. Epic, it's so incredibly important in today's classrooms because one of the best things that it does is it ignites the curiosity and the wonder for all of the students that we come across. It allows them to be independent learners while building that confidence that we all know they have in reading. So I am thrilled to be a part of just this incredible team and to be here with you today, including our very own author of our original Cat Ninja series, Matthew Cody, who's here with us today.
Hi, thanks, Cherish. Yeah, my name is Matthew Cody. I am a children's author, have been for uh, almost, wow, going on probably 16 or 17 years now. And I started in the world of novels for children and published about 8 novels with Random House. And then about 5 years ago, I was given the opportunity to come to Epic and help Epic start doing some original books. As you all know, I'm sure the kids and teachers know what a fantastic library it is, so much material you can get to, but like I think somebody was probably like, we want to make books too. So I was, given the opportunity to come help create some books for them and uh it was an oppor when somebody offers you a job and they say you can come make jokes about cats and hamsters fighting in superhero costumes, you this is just a lesson for you children. Do not say no. Okay? Say yes. It was a fantastic decision. Um, and the best thing about it is, coming from I've always been a lifelong comics fan, right? Comic book fan. And I'd done comics before, but mainly, like I said, I was working in novels, and comics is collaborative. So it was an opportunity to come work with Epic to create these graphic novels in collaboration with artists that make me look good. Right. So the art is so fantastic. Chad Thomas being the main artist for Cat Ninja. And it's just been a wonderful opportunity. So yeah, and I'm still going strong. We've been spinning off Cat Ninja into a few other series. Time Buddies, some characters that were launched in Cat Ninja. Hoot the Owl from the future. The most recent is Master Hamster Super Science, which are little science lessons told from the point of view of a mad genius hamster. I know that trope's been done to death. But and there's more in the works. There's more in the works. But yeah, that's me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Matthew, it is an absolute pleasure to have you here, especially because you bring such strong hamster and cat jokes, number one. And
Yeah.
your book series are absolutely legendary. Folks are in the chat telling you right now that they love your books, and that is a good sort of segue into kind of getting us started. So today is all about Matthew just kind of enlightening us on what it's like to be an author. And because this is Be an Author Month, and because kids are the future, we thought it would be kind of a cool idea, Matthew, if students were here to ask you some questions. And surprisingly, we actually have a gaggle of students backstage right now. But if you are at home right now and you're watching and you have a question for Matthew Cody, you can use the chat and ask your question there, or you can use the Q&A, whatever it is that you like. But if we have some time, we have got quite a few students who are eager to ask Matthew a question. And if there is time, we are going to ask the questions that come up in the chat too. So Without further ado, we have some surprise guests backstage who are very patiently and respectfully waiting, Matthew, to ask you a question. So, Miss Schneider's class, if you would please turn on your camera. And Emily and Hayden are up first. So you got to come up. Oh, there they are. Excellent. Now, as soon as you're unmuted, ready to roll.
Okay, I think we're ready. Ask your question, yeah.
What inspired you to make these books?
What inspired me to make these books? That's a fantastic question. Also, love your sweatshirt. Stitch, go Stitch. Well, let's see. Okay, so I was always, when I was a kid, I here's a secret. So don't tell anybody than whoever. I'm sure there's like what maybe three people on this call. So keep it amongst the three people. But the secret is that as a kid, I hated reading. I was not into reading. I did not like books. I did not like reading at all. And the thing that got me into reading was actually comic books. Comics were the thing that got me into reading, and specifically superhero comics, because I was really into the art, and then I started getting into the words and the stories. And so with Cat Ninja, I really wanted to go back to that love of superhero stories, but I wanted to do them, you know, in a little bit of a it's a little bit of tongue in cheek, it's a little bit of like they're superhero stories, but it's also we're kind of poking fun at superhero stories because they're so, it's a little ridiculous if people run around in like their pajamas and fight crime. And so we um I wanted to come up with something that was going to be funny and that had action in it, but also, and I think this is the most important thing about Cat Ninja, I wanted to deal with something that could be relatable to kids in some way. And if you notice, like the main kids in the story, Leon and Marcy, are their parents have just recently separated. They're going through a divorce. And so for me, it was also a way to talk about like real kids' lives. Just happens to be what if your cat was a superhero and your pet hamster was a supervillain? And kids liked it, so I kept doing it and got to work with fantastic artists along the way.
Emily, Hayden, thank you so much for asking your question.
It's a great one.
Mari, are you back there? You ready to roll?
Here we come.
All right. Hi, Mari. Come nice and close so we can hear you.
Read them.
My question is, why do you keep the name Cat Ninja?
Well, that's a great question. It was a little bit of a joke at first, actually. It was a little bit, I knew I wanted to do a story about some kind of ninja-like superhero and wanted to do something about a cat. And there was actually a little bit of an argument, a friendly argument with me and some of the other people that I work with about what we should call it. And a lot of people wanted to call it Ninja Cat. And I was like, no, 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 it's got to be Cat Ninja for no particular reason. Then I just felt like I wanted to argue with them. And it stuck. I think it tells you everything you need to know, right? Like if you pick up a book that's called Cat Ninja, you're expecting it to be about a cat who's a ninja. There you go, right? So I think it's yeah, it was as simple as that. It was as simple as that. We could have gone with something a little, you know, Claude the Cat Ninja, but that doesn't have the same ring, I don't think. So, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. I like Cat Ninja. That was a good question, Amari. Thank you. Antonia, are you back there?
Um, my question is, why did you want to make Cat Ninja?
it's a great question. I wanted, like I said before, I wanted to do something that was uh sort of touching base with like when I was a kid learning to read, right? And create kind of stories that would help kids get into that. I think it's very, very important, right? When someone gives you something to read, and maybe reading is new to you, or maybe it's something that I was what they would call a reluctant reader. Okay. I was not, it was very hard for me to get into feeling confident about reading. And so Cat Ninja and just comics in general, I think is a way to get into it that sort of lets you. I don't know if you've ever had this experience where like you're in a comic and you forget you're reading because you're getting the images and the words and everything, and you just kind of forget. You get lost in the story. And that's the key to it all, right? Even if you're reading a novel that has zero pictures, you start to create the pictures in your brain. And so that is really was the goal and still remains the goal for Cat Ninja. I think for all of the originals books that we do at Epic, which we do a wide variety of books. We do a comic series called Bright Family. We do a series called Animal Rescue Friends, which I don't write. It's too bad because it's very, very popular. That's all of those. We're trying to get kids to just learn to love stories. And if you love stories, you'll love reading eventually. That's I think what it's all about. Great question though.
Well put. Yeah,
Thanks.
that Antonia, fantastic question. Thank you so much. Connor. Ooh, it's a good one.
Come this way, just a little.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, Connor.
How many more books will you make and when will you stop?
um,
Never.
how long will you read
That's a
them?
good one.
How long will you keep reading them? Like, are you like, I
There you go.
think we go on forever. I think that, as long as we have stories, and I think that there are lots and lots of stories to tell with those characters, so I am currently working on a new season of Cat Ninja. So there's one that's on the site right now that it's interesting. If you look at the Cat Ninja that we're putting out right now on Epic, the ones that we've just brought back, we did a little something a little different. I brought in some writer friends of mine, and we all worked together on the stories. We put together what's called a writer's room, and we worked together to create these stories and hand them to the artist so we could get some different points of view, right? Some different kind of people telling those stories. I'm currently working on a new season of Cat Ninja by myself that'll be out next year. A whole new storyline, 5 issues, 5 books of it. And no plans to stop right now. As a matter of fact, we have some secret plans I can't talk about to expand it. Um, yeah, and yeah, we're gonna keep going, And even I'll tell you what, even if someday I get tired of writing Cat Ninja, maybe I'll pass the baton. Maybe by the time you grow up, maybe you can come write Cat Ninja for me, because I'm gonna be tired and old by that point.
Did you hear that, Connor? You might be the next author of Cat Ninja, buddy. You never know.
Never know.
Never know. Thank you. That was a good question. I appreciate you. Oh man, I lost my question sheet. Where'd you go? Ah. Oh shoot. Oh, here we go. Who we got next? We had Asia. Is this Asia?
Asia and Brian.
Asia and
Oh,
Brian.
I don't see Brian. Where's Brian? Brian,
Oh.
get over there.
Scoot over.
There he is.
There's Brian. All right, Asian Brian, what's your question?
How many years have it took you to write your book?
Um, Good question. It really depends. So if I'm working on something like Cat Ninja, um, which is a comic versus a novel takes me to do like about 8 months to write the first draft. One issue of Cat Ninja, one sort of installment of Cat Ninja takes me under 1 month, I think. It's interesting, when you look at Cat Ninja, I don't know if you've ever thought about this, kids like if you look at it and ask yourself, well, what does a writer do with this actually? Like this is all mostly pictures. What does the writer do other than the words? It actually is a process of coming up with the story and creating a script to give to the artist that then tells them all the actions, all of the panels, all of the things that are happening in it. So it takes longer than you might think if you just look at the words. As a matter of fact, there is one issue of Cat Ninja that is absolutely silent. Nobody says a word. And I think it's 14, Cat Ninja 14 on the site. And if you look at it, that took me the longest to write of any of them because I wasn't able to let the characters say anything. I told myself, I said, I'm going to do this. It's going to be a totally silent issue. The first page is Cat Ninja doing this, shh, right? And yet I had to write so much to try to convey those emotions and everything. So that one took me a little longer, but on average, I think each issue of Cat Ninja about a month to get it ready to go. A lot longer for the art because the artists have a harder job by far.
Very good.
Fantastic question. We've got one that came in from the audience. So we'll take
Great.
a break from Ms. Schneider's. Where do you like to work when you write your books, Matthew?
Well, I usually work where I am right now, which you can't see. I don't work in a blank white space. I actually have a little studio office here, with a couple of desks and some monitors, and I usually work here. Sometimes I'll go out, and sit in a coffee shop or something if I need a change of scene. Um, and or if I just get if it gets too hectic here in my place to go to focus.
Well,
But yeah, that tends to be where I work. I like to have this
nice.
one dedicated place. Yeah.
Very good. Is this Carter? All right. What's your question, Carter?
Will you do any collabs?
Can you say that one more time?
Will you do any collabs?
Like collaborations?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Like I think that is so there's two kinds of have you ever read have you ever heard of Raina Tegelmeyer's books, Smile, things like that, those graphic novels? Okay, well, there are there are graphic novels and comics where the creator is the writer and the artist by themselves. We call them like a cartoonist. They do everything themselves. I don't have that talent. I'm not a very good artist, visual artist. So the thing that I actually love about comics is I get to collaborate each time I do it with the artist. Like, let's say I'm working on Cat Ninja. The artist's name is Chad Thomas. Once I've written a script and he gets to read it, we talk. And he tells me things that like he has ideas for. Tell him like, hey, if you have better ideas, let me know. You want to do some things a little differently, let me know. And that's the most fun part is that collaboration. Sometimes I also collaborate with other writers. Like I said, very recently I brought in like four other writers and we sat around on Zoom calls like this and came up with ideas together for Cat Ninja stories. And it was so much fun because being an author, the one downside of being a writer is it can sometimes be a little lonely, right? If you're just working by yourself every day. So if you have collaborators, that makes it all the better. And it is by far the number one best part of the job when you're working on something like Cat Ninja is getting to work with all of these very talented people who, quite honestly, just if it weren't for Chad Thomas, Yehudi Mercado, who was the first artist that we worked on the series with, like there would be no Cat Ninja, right? There would just not be a Cat
Hmm.
Ninja. So it's really, it's a pleasure and an honor to be able to work with such talented people. Don't tell them I said
Good
that.
question.
Don't ever tell them I said
They might know.
I
They
know they
might have
probably
heard
do. They
you.
probably do.
Thanks, Carter. All right, this next question comes from a student in New York. We'll take another one from Ms. Schneider's class in just a second. I had to play this question.
Sure.
Hi, my name is DeAndre. If you had a superpower, what would it be?
I have gotten this question before. This is a
Yeah,
fantastic question. This is hard to answer. I
oh
think
boy.
when you ask most people, usually there are two answers that people come up with, I think. One, most people will say they'll either say I want to be able to fly or I would like to turn invisible. Okay? These are sort of the two most popular answers to this question. So, if you're watching this kids in your classroom or at home anywhere, if you would rather turn and be able to turn invisible, raise your hand. Don't make any noise. Just raise your hand so that your teachers or your parents can see that this request that you'd rather turn. Cherish, you too. Raise your hand if it's invisibility. Okay. Now, I want everyone to know if you raise your hand for invisibility, you are sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. And I don't trust you, sneaky people. Invisible. The
No.
wrong answer. It's got to be
Yeah.
fly. Uh, yeah, exactly. Sorry, gotcha. I would love to fly. I
Oh
would fly everywhere, and the thing I would fly.
Yeah.
I would fly through the city, and I would look down at all the people going to work or doing their things, and I would just yell, "See ya, suckers!" And I would fly off into the sky. That'd be fantastic. It's okay to want to be invisible too, but just parents and teachers, keep your eye on them.
That's a good one. Thank you to DeAndre from Long Island. Who is this? Paula? Are you Paula?
Paula.
Excellent. What's your question?
Why did you add a hamster in the book?
Why? I don't know. That's a very good question. And to be honest, why did I come up with a hamster in the book? I don't like hamsters, like particularly. I don't dislike them, but I've never had a
Mhm.
hamster. I've had cats. I think what was funny to me about Master Hamster, about the hamster, was I wanted there to be a villain whose ego was so much bigger than their body. And I wanted it to be like this character thinks they are the best. Some of my coworkers would, all right, so some of my coworkers like to say that I modeled Master Hamster on myself. I don't agree. I do not agree, but maybe that they were just thought they were the best thing ever. And I was like, well, what's a release? And then I got this image in my head of this little hamster thinking he was the best. And he was only supposed to be, he started out to be this like just your typical villain, diabolical villain. And he's got all these, he has swiftly become my favorite character because he is such a reluctant hero at heart. He is the villain, but he ends up saving the day and helping out Cat Ninja all the time, whether he likes to or not. Because ultimately, Cat Ninja is his best friend. He would never tell you that, I think. He would never admit it. So yeah, it really just became about the visual. I thought it'd be so hilarious to see a hamster be the big bad guy of the series, and that's where he came from. He got sillier as we go. Like he started out being a hamster with a big robot armor suit to fight with and stuff, and now like he flies around in an invention he calls the bowlocopter, which is a bowl that he can put food in and eat anytime he wants and also fly at the same time. So, he got sillier. Great question.
That is a great question. Will Paul and Madison come up? Because your questions are very, very similar. So I think if you ask them at the same time, Matthew can sort of group answer these because they're very related to the last question as well.
Ah,
How's Master Hamster a villain?
okay. Is that also the other question? Do I have both questions? Are they the same or?
How, how did how did you decide who's going to be the villain?
These are great questions. So, Master Hamster, if you look at Cat Ninja Book One, Master Hamster's the villain. He's got a plan. He's the bad guy. He's trying to steal all this money from the bank. Um, and like I said the last time, I wanted something that looked silly. I really wanted a villain that looked silly. Um, but very quickly, I think I just kind of fell in love with him because he's so ridiculous. And if you look by Cat Ninja 2 or 3 or 4, we get a whole new villain. Dr. Von Malice comes in, who's actually has a history with Master Hamster. And she's actually, I think, genuinely a little scary. She's a human being. She's this robot arm. She's a scientist. But Master Hamster, I think at the end of the day, is just silly. I think, you know, someday I will do a story about Master Hamster because there's one story where he goes to the future and he finds out that at some point in his own future, imagine if you had a time machine, kids, and you went into the future and you met people in the future that were and they told you something that was going to happen to you in the future, in your future, and you're like, oh my gosh, and you always know this is going to happen. Well, one thing that Master Hamster knows is someday he's going to be known, he's going to be famous all over the world as Cat Ninja's sidekick, superhero sidekick, and his name is going to be Squeaky the Hamster. And he hates this. So someday we'll get the story of Master Hamster actually being Cat Ninja's superhero sidekick, and he'll be called Squeaky, whether he likes it or not. He's just a lot of fun to write. He's he's where we get to put all the really, really good jokes because he's so silly. Cat Ninja's hilarious too, but Master Hamster is just too much fun.
Too much fun. I love that. All right, we've got another question from the book of recorded questions.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
Hi, my name is Cody. What should we do if we want to write our own stories?
That is such a good question. That is such a good question. I have one big piece of advice for you, and that is if you want to write your own stories, read. Read, 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 because that's writing school. If you read, you are learning how to write your own stories. And then just do it. then just start to do it. Just write your own stories. Write them for yourself, write them for your parents, write them for your teacher, write them for your friends. It doesn't matter. Get a friend. If you like comics, draw your own comics. If you like comics, but you don't think you can draw, which you probably can, you just haven't given yourself enough time to practice, but find a friend who loves to draw. Collaborate with them. Back to that collaboration question. But really, the
I like that.
best practice for writing is reading. If I meet a writer that's like, I write so much, I don't have time to read, I'm very suspicious of that writer. I'm like, well, you're not getting any better because in order to get better, you need to see how other people do things. That's how you learn as a writer, is to read, 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 read. I didn't actually start writing anything. The first thing I wrote, I think I wrote a little short story in the fifth grade, and that was because teachers made me do it. Because, and I enjoyed it, but you know, if I'd have been writing sort of for myself and to have some fun with it, I think it would have been a better experience earlier on. So read and then just write. You'll get better the more you write and write for yourself. And if you're doing that, if you're reading books, you're practicing. You're practicing for being a writer.
Ooh, that's a quote right there. If you're reading a book, you're practicing to be an author. That is
Hmm.
good. Harmony and Malcolm, where are you? Come on up to the front. I only see. Oh, there's Malcolm. There's Harmony. Hi. What's your question?
My question, what do you like about Cat Ninja?
Um, Here's something. So there's a lot of things that I like about it, but one of the things that I like the most, and this is specific to doing comics. If you are writing a comic but you're not drawing it, right? Being able to write something on the page, describe something on the page with words, hand it to an artist and see that become art, become an illustration is such fun. It is the best thing. Like whenever Chad Thomas sends in new pages from Cat Ninja that he's working on and new drawings from it, it's a real thrill because it's always better than I pictured in my head, right? Um, and for me, it's that collaborating with somebody that's so talented and watching them take the words that I put on page and make them into art. That's the best thing about it. There's other things about Cat Ninja. Like I said, I love writing the humor of it. I love the family story of it, of Marcy and Leon and what they're all going through. And I love the fact that they're all one big family, an unusual family, but whose family isn't unusual, right? Their family is a couple of kids, a mom and dad that are divorced, a hamster supervillain, and a cat superhero. But they are a close family. They're always there for each other. That's a huge part of it too. So, yeah. That was
I
like five
love
answers. I gave you five answers. You only answered whatever.
it. You got 5 for 1. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Harmony and Malcolm. Silas. Silas has got an interesting question. I've actually been wondering this question uh, myself. Silas.
Why does Cat Ninja not talk?
That's a good question. So it's a little bit of a complicated of an answer, but I'll try to make it short. When I sat down and created the book, one thing that you can do as a writer, if you're new to comics, is write too much in terms of the dialogue, having people speak. Like you could have a character like Master Hamster who talks a lot. And when you're writing on the page and it's just you and your words, you think this is the best thing ever written. Then you give it to the artist, and suddenly when they put in what's called the word balloons, which is, the little things that look like balloons where they have the dialogue, what the characters are saying in them. If you have too many of those, suddenly you don't see the art. You're covering up the art. And because the writer's being so wordy and in love with the things that they're writing, suddenly you don't get to see the art. And what's the fun in that if we're doing a comic? So with Cat Ninja, I thought I'm going to give myself a challenge. I want to make the main character not speak. That way, it forces me when I'm creating these scripts to think visually, to think about how the artist is going to convey the emotions, how the artist is going to tell the story. And it made my job more challenging, but also gave me this like, made sure that I wasn't being too wordy. Now, that said, there are at least two different occasions in the Cat Ninja books where Cat Ninja does speak. He doesn't say much, but he does speak. See, he can speak, but it's very rare. And there have been times ever since I made the decision that Cat Ninja would be mostly nonverbal that I've regretted it because it's hard. It's very hard to keep writing a character. I just want him to like go into a monologue, give a big speech about something, but I won't let myself do that. So, yeah, it was really sort of a challenge to myself. Also, look, there are lots of people in this world who are nonverbal. There are lots of people in this world who don't speak or don't speak much, you know? So he's it's common. He's just like everybody else in that capacity. Like he I like characters that are relatable. I like, one of the things that we do at Epic. I work with somebody um at Epic who said this to me once, and I thought it was a great quote. It was one of our jobs is to make sure that every kid in the world can see themselves in one of our books in some fashion. And I think that's such a great mission, right? You should be able to pick up books and find yourself in there somewhere. And it's our job to make sure that we're doing that and representing everybody that can be in this great wide world of ours. Even,
I love it.
yep, even hamsters have a place.
Even the hamsters. Very well said.
I've got two questions out of the book. They're very similar.
Sure.
How many books have you wrote?
And
How old were you when you wrote your first book?
Great questions. I'll take the second one first, which is I think I was 28, 29 years old when I wrote my first book. It was a novel that never got published. I wrote it was 300 plus pages of a novel that never got published. Nobody wanted to publish it. And I always say it's the most important thing I ever wrote, though, because I taught myself how to write a novel. Like, it's very rare to do things, kids, for the first time and get it perfect. Like, if you ever try to, the first time you swing at a baseball, whether they're throwing at you or it's sitting on a tee and tee ball, usually you miss. Well, I missed, but I learned how to write a book. The second book was the book that started my career after that. But in terms of how many books, gosh, I have written 10 novels, and depending on how you count the Cat Ninja, you either can count Cat Ninja as like the individual ones you see on the website, like one through, or you can count them as like if you see them in a bookstore and they're collected, like there's 5 issues in one book. So anywhere between 10 and 30. How's that for
all
specificity?
right,
Right? I think
that's
it's
pretty good.
something like that, right? Something like that.
I feel good
Yeah.
about 10 and 30. We are almost out of time. So I unfortunately I don't think we're going to make it down this whole list, but
That's great.
Dennis is primed up, I think. And I love this question. Come on up, Dennis.
Yeah,
Ask this question.
I prefer the questions over anything. So let's roll and answer as many of them as we can.
Good. Okay, good.
What book do you like on Epic?
Can you say that one more time?
What books do you like on Epic?
Well, obviously I like my own books. I mean, they're pretty awesome. No, what are some of the other books I like on Epic? I am a big fan of there's a series that we do on there. There's a series that we do, and it's called Time Buddies. And although I created the character Hoot in the Cat Ninja comics, and I helped co-write the first book of that, another author by the name of Marcy Colleen, who is a friend of mine, she has worked on that series since and made it into something so funny. If you haven't read it, please do. It's called Time Buddies, and it's these adventures of a very, very silly time traveling owl and this boy named Bentley, and they go through history and they mess things up. If you ever want to see Leonardo da Vinci in a chicken suit, please do read Time Buddies. It is fantastic. So that's one that I really, really love. There's an adventure series on Epic called Adventure Kingdom, which I like too. That's a comic book that is a little different. It's not a humor book, although there are funny things in it. It's much more an adventure about a magical theme park. That's one I like a lot. And there are a few nonfiction books on there I really, really like. There are the Weird But True series is on there. That's fantastic. We get to read about things like is there such a thing as a Bigfoot? Does that exist? Hint, no, it doesn't. But it gives you all of the people that
Oh,
think it does. Oh, well, I'm just saying, I don't think so.
wait,
I've never bumped
I
into one.
was
Hey, all right, maybe. I
Dennis,
don't get out of the city much. Maybe he's a country guy.
thanks for your question, man. Appreciate you. All right. While Preston is coming up, I'm going to ask a question for Sergio. Sergio is absent today,
Okay.
but Sergio wants to know, sort of in general, what is your favorite book? Not your favorite cat ninja
Uh,
book.
uh, um, wow. So my I'm very bad at picking a single favorite anything. Like if you say what my favorite movie is, I'll talk to you about my five favorite movies forever, but it's hard for me to narrow one down. But I will say that for young readers, one of my absolute favorite books of all time is A Wrinkle in Time. If you haven't read that, which is a classic, it just does so many creative things in it. It's such a story like you don't it. There's just so much in that book. Fantastic characters. Um, I love that book, and that is definitely in my top five. The Hobbit is also in there too, by J.R. Tolkien. I love the theme of that book, where it's a very unlikely hero who goes and saves the day. Like, who would have ever thought, this little person with furry feet? So, now those are two right off the bat and I actually don't know if they're on. Yeah, I don't know. I could just keep going, so I'm gonna leave it with those two for right now. But A
Yeah,
Wrinkle
that's
in
okay. They
Time,
don't have to.
definitely check it out.
Your
Check it out.
favorite books don't have to be on Epic. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Preston,
so many. There's so many. So
I'm sure they are as an author. Yeah. Preston, how are you, man? Why don't you ask your question?
How are you famous for Cat Ninja?
can you say it one more time?
How are you famous for Cat Ninja?
Well, number one, thank you for thinking that I'm famous for anything. I don't know if I agree with the premise, but I would say that I just think it's interesting. You never know what characters, what stories, what books kids are going to love or what's going to connect with readers. And for some reason, Cat Ninja took off. Kids love it. Not everybody, obviously, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's gotten very popular. I'm just very lucky that I've been able to be associated with it the whole time, that I was able to have a place to create it at Epic, and work with such talented people to help me, from our book designers, from our editors, from everybody who works on the site, everybody who puts things on the site itself. So I got very lucky in that way. And I just think, it's really I'm just glad you guys like it. I'm glad you guys keep reading it and that it's entertaining for you. And as long as it's entertaining for you and you guys keep wanting more, we will do our best to provide more and more for you. So, yeah,
You made him famous, Preston. He's famous because people like you read his books, man.
exactly. Because if
Awesome.
you ask my wife or son, why am I famous? They will laugh in your face. They do not believe that I'm famous.
We've got a question from the audience. Braylon, you're next from the class, but a question from the audience. Dawson from Michigan wants to know, are any of the Cat Ninja books based on a true or real life story?
Not specifically, but I will say that there are stuff in those books. When you are a writer, right, you can't help but take things from life around you. You see things happen. And as a matter of fact, what's Cat Ninja's real name? Claude. Claude is the name of my son's best friend's cat. So he's had this best friend since he was 2 years old, and the cat's name is Claude. They don't look anything alike. Claude is a big boy, a big boy cat. But so that's something, like, I just took that name right there because I thought, well, that's a really weird name for a cat, and it'd be great to have that for him. And so there are things like that happen in there, and moments with the family that certainly are things that I've seen or had happen in my life, but nothing specifically. Nothing, no actual specific real life story that I can think of.
I love it. Well, I mean, knowing the name of Cat Ninja, that's a pretty big find right now.
Hmm.
Who we got? Is this Braylon? Hey, Braylon, step on up.
Books going to turn into live movies like Dogman?
Was that a question about can you say that one more time?
Yeah. Are your books going to turn into live movies?
So, okay, that's an interesting question. So, I get the question a lot. There are currently no plans to turn Cat Ninja into a movie. That doesn't mean it won't happen ever. It means that nothing's happening right now. I do have another series of books, the Powerless series, which are novels, the Supers of Nobles Green series, and it's Powerless, Super, and Villainous. Those are in development at Netflix. So we might be seeing something happen from there with that I'll be associated with. I would love to see Cat Ninja. I think I'd like to see it as an animated series. That's what I would love to see. I would love to see Cat Ninja animated because I don't think yeah, I would like to see that style on the screen. Well, let me ask you, I mean, this is the most, would you watch it if there was a Cat Ninja animated series? Would you watch it?
Definitely.
Okay. All right. Well,
All
that's
right.
very good to know.
Maybe
He
Very, very
said
good.
that with
Braylon,
no hesitation. He said that.
zero.
It's certainly something that we have talked about at Epic as something we would love to see happen someday. So stay tuned. Stay tuned.
And Braylon, maybe when that project starts, you'll be old enough, you'll be working on it as an illustrator or something. So just
Yeah.
keep your ideas up in the clouds, man. This is good stuff. Nalia. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Did I say it correctly?
Nalia.
Nalia. Nalia, I messed it up. I even asked you if I
Yeah.
said it correctly and I didn't. I'm sorry. What's your question, Nalia?
When did you create these books?
The first book we created about 5 years ago, I guess now. So, and then we've still been working. Like there's always something in what you see when it comes on the app, when you see it on Epic or you see it in your library or any in your school library or bookstore or wherever you're seeing it. Um, we've been working on it for much longer. Like we get finished with something and you all don't see it for like 6 months or a year sometimes. And that's how far ahead we're working. Like I said, I'm currently working on books that will be out in 2026 fall. I think we're going to be launching them. So we work very far ahead. It's almost like a weird time machine. I'm working for now. I'm writing something now that you will see in the future. Right.
I love that. Great question. Thank you. Uh, Caden has something he would like to show you.
Oh, cool.
What do you got?
Let's go.
Oh,
Hang on, we're
Caden,
gonna.
hold it. Yeah, hold it right in front of your chest because it's looking for a human. So you have to hold it right on your chest
Ran
like it's
away.
a.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
He ran away, but he drew this morning.
Oh, come on. That is so good. You know
That
what I
is
love about that?
amazing.
Yeah, what was his name? What was his name again?
Hayden.
Caden.
And Caden, one thing I love about this is you've picked my favorite cat ninja, which is the cat ninja who's like, "Oh, come on, guys. I'm so over this. This is like Master Hamster just did something that annoyed him, or some supervillain popped up again, and he's just like, oh, wah wah. I love this. This is my favorite cat ninja. That's fantastic. That is some good artwork. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. Thank
Well
you.
done. We have got one more question. It's from my book, and I think it's the burning question on everyone's mind.
Let's do it.
But before we ask this last question, I want to give a huge thank you to Ms. Schneider's class for asking all those questions. You're so brave to come on camera to ask all those questions right here live in front of everyone. So thank you so much. You are awesome. All
We
right.
had a great time. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. This question.
Hi, my name is Savannah. Can you tell me a secret about your next book?
Savannah wants a secret. What
So
can you share?
I will share something. So, in the interest of time, I'll just tell you the secret right now, which is, so, okay, well, secret but not a spoiler. A secret but not a spoiler,
Okay.
which is, one of the characters in Cat Ninja, one of the main characters in Cat Ninja, who is not Cat Ninja and not Master Hamster, but one of the supporting characters, one of the characters in Cat Ninja, we're currently working on they're going to have their own book. We're going to do a story with just them. So it'll be third spin-off from Cat Ninja, and it's a character that's one of my favorites. I'm not gonna tell you who it is. Ha ha, I'm mean. But it's a character who's one of my favorites, and we're working on it, and there's no way I'm ever gonna tell you it's Adonis, it's the dog Adonis, it's the robot dog. Um, we want to do a spin-off with Adonis because he's so fun, and we're gonna have
I
another.
love Adonis.
Yeah, yeah, and it'll be we're working on it. It's going to be a mystery series, a kind of spooky mystery series, but also funny. Where Adonis is the worst detective in the world because I don't know if you understand that Adonis's best friend is his water bowl, which is actually the toilet. He's a dog. Dogs are not the smartest, and he's the worst detective in the world. And he's going to be our star. He's going to be the detective. So yeah, you did know it was going to be Adonis. Somebody said in the chat. Yeah, yeah.
Ah,
They're
man, I was hoping for Fury Roach. Not gonna lie, really love Fury Roach.
Okay,
Probably
yeah,
one of my
Fury Road.
faves.
Someday.
One day, I'll get my 15. Matthew, I can't thank you enough. You have answered pretty much every question that we were asked by students. I want to send the biggest apology in the world to all of the students who submitted a question that we did not get to. It was just a flood of questions that came in. I tried to get as many of the questions that were repeats and have someone ask them, but every one of you are amazing. Thank you so, so much for taking the time to do that. Matthew, I can't thank you enough for coming on, staying 15 minutes extra, and talking extra about Cat Ninja. Thank you so much. And Cherish, it's always a pleasure to have you with.
Always. Thank you guys so much for having us. It was the best experience.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
absolutely. If you want to learn more about Cat Ninja, or if you want some of the resources from this and you're here live, check it out in the chat. Or you can look down in the description of this video and you'll find all the links. So without further ado, until next time, happy bookmaking. Talk to you soon.